Dear viewers, today we are going to discuss Strange Fits of Passion Have I Known. This poem is written by William Wordsworth. It is written in the form of a ballad. It starts in a direct manner. At the outset, the speaker proclaims that he has been the victim of strange fits of passion. He further says that he will share his fits only with a lover, and I will dare to tell, but in the lover's ear alone, what once to me befell. Then he talks about his beloved Lucy, who was fresh as a rose in June. He travelled to her cottage one night beneath the moon. He stared at the moon as his horse neared the paths to Lucy's cottage. As he approached the orchard, the moon had begun to sink, nearing the point at which it would appear to touch Lucy's cottage in the distance. As the horse plodded on, the speaker continued to stare at the moon. All at once, it dropped behind the cottage roof. Suddenly, the speaker was overcome with a strange and passionate thought. "Oh, mercy, to myself I cried, if Lucy should be dead." Strange Fits of Passion Have I Known is one of the most striking ballads ever written by Wordsworth. It was included in the Lyrical Ballads. It shows extraordinary sophistication and mastery of technique. The sophistication lies in the poet's grasp of human feeling. The poet shares a half fearful, inexplicable, morbid fantasy that is not easy to communicate through poetry. Like a storyteller, Wordsworth dramatizes in the first stanza the act of reciting his tale, saying that he will whisper it, but only in the ear of a lover like himself. Perhaps he believes that a lover is mad like himself. This act immediately commands the sympathy of the reader. Therefore, that fantasy of the poet becomes a subject of contemplation for the reader. Also, like a storyteller, Wordsworth builds suspense by diverting the speaker's attention to the slowly sinking moon and the slowly plodding horse, which travels hoof after hoof. Just as the moon comes near and nearer still to the house where Lucy lies, the recitation of the objects of the familiar landscape through which the speaker travels, the paths he loves, the orchard plot, the roof of the house, heighten the unfamiliarity of the strange fit of passion into which the speaker is plunged by the setting moon. The ballad paints a realistic picture of the world while also adding magical elements, often blurring the lines between fantasy and reality. The speaker sitting on the back of the horse, moving in moonlit night towards the cottage of his beloved, and looking constantly at the sinking moon despite falling asleep, reminds one of a phantasmagoria or dreamlike world which is full of fantastic, bizarre, or imagined machinery. Furthermore, the character of Lucy also appears to be a figment of Wordsworth's imagination. Lucy never comes in person before the reader. Only her name is mentioned from time to time. She is referred to as a dead person in different poems, which are collectively called Lucy poems. But what really matters is the inner truth of the poet, which the poet shares with the reader. The experience of the poet is so compelling that the reader is immediately convinced of its authenticity. In this respect, the ballad Strange Fits of Passion Have I Known reflects the traces of psychological realism. Before we conclude, a word about the form of the poem. As mentioned earlier, the poem is written in a very simple form, employed by Wordsworth to render common speech and common stories in poems of simple rhythmic beauty. Each stanza consists of 4 lines, each has alternating rhymed lines, an AB-AB rhyme scheme, and each has alternating metrical lines of iambic tetrameter and iambic trimeter respectively. which means that the first and third lines of the stanza have four accented syllables and the second and fourth lines have only three. Thank you very much.